Hello and welcome in to a primetime edition of the Strive Sports Podcast. I don't know if you can see me. Y'all can see me on the Zoom call. I don't know if anybody can see me on the stream. I hope they can. This is Strive Sports Primetime Edition. I got two tremendous special guests on the show tonight, and couldn't be more grateful for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, if you first and foremost can find me and follow me at Keegan Hartman1 on Twitter, at Kigo Amigo on Instagram, that would be much obliged. Likewise, let me turn up my mic volume because I don't think I can hear myself. Well, there we go. There it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, like I said, we got a jam-packed show for you guys lined out tonight. We are live on Facebook. I was going to have this on Twitter and Instagram and all that, but, you know, OBS can go so far, ladies and gentlemen. With that being said, I'd be remiss if I did not give a shout out to the gentleman joining me on screen tonight, to my left and to my right. First and foremost, a couple of good friends and former colleagues helping me break down the draft content, the draft conversation that we've got going on. Obviously, we are less than 24 hours away from the 2025 NFL Draft, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be exciting. First and foremost, oh my goodness, my notes. Oh no, y'all make sure. All right, let's restart here. Let's act like that didn't happen. We used to celebrate the hell out of this week, having attended two NFL drafts in our past. You can find him and follow him. It's at BScottAntony49 on both X and Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. Correct, Brandon?
You are correct, sir.
Find him and follow him on his socials. He joins me tonight for the first time. For the first time, ladies and gentlemen, my old show co-host, colleague, my good friend, Brandon Antony. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
Doing fantastic, man. Great to be back. I haven't seen you ages, and feels like ages since we did the Breakfast of Champions. But now joining you from Rochester, Minnesota, apartment, no longer Columbia, but thrilled to be on, man. For sure.
Well,
Need a break from that news that I've been covering here. So
Well, funny enough, man, I haven't even aged. I haven't even grown a beard or anything. So, look, you look good. You look great, and it's so good to be back with you. And obviously, it's been a long time. I mean, I'd be remiss if I said, dude, we had the greatest chemistry on back in our KCOU days, and I was grateful for all those years. So I'm glad you found the time to finally sit down and hop on the show. But last but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, one of the most talented creatives, I would say, and he gets pissed off every time I say this, but I don't even care. He's one of my good friends, one of my former colleagues back in my USFL days. You find him and follow him. He is the CEO of On the Rise Media at OTR Media. You see it right down below on his lower third. Y'all go find him there. And moreover, make sure you go find him his personal work at IJ Visuals on Instagram and Twitter. I got it right, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You hit it.
Yes.
You hit it, man.
Two for two, man. Let's go.
On the
Ladies,
road.
ladies and gentlemen, Marcus Gray. Hey, man, I'm glad you found some time during the season to sit down with us. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Feeling good, feeling great, man. Thank you for having me on. I know it was a little last minute plug in, but I really appreciate it just to, chop sports with you, just talk and everything. But yeah, I'm feeling good. Had a great day at work today and ready to get this thing going.
Hey, in the full circle. I said 2 years ago when you came on the podcast, it's hard to believe 2023 has been just about 2 years. I was like, you're going to be the first one to come back on this show and make a second appearance. And here we are, just ahead of the NFL draft. But enough of rambling on, enough patronizing, enough giving flowers. Let's get in and let's talk shop. We got the arguably one of the most talented draft classes of recent memory coming up tomorrow, the 2025 NFL Draft. And obviously, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to announce that I am a Broncos fan. Brandon is a San Francisco 49ers fan, and my good friend Marcus is an Indianapolis Colts fan. And traditionally on this show, how I set everything up, we typically do what we like to call an icebreaker. Well, I brought her back for old time's sake. Brandon, you'll probably get a kick out of this. Play it. Oh my gosh. Well, I didn't mean to play the music as well, but the sounder was the draft bell. And I'm only going to do that once. I'm not doing that again. Um, I would like for you gentlemen to, if we go over here to the PFF board, you can see it on the stream. I don't know if you can see it on the Zoom call. I wish I could share the board. Marcus, I can barely see the freaking board right now, but in terms of what the Colts have, I am fairly certain that they have a higher pick than the San Francisco 49ers. But I could be wrong. Do you know what pick they possess in the 2025 NFL draft? Oh my God. Oh my
I
goodness.
want to say 14, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say 14, man.
They can.
It's right, it's right that little middle sweet spot to where you can get something good, but you can also like fumble the bag terribly because it's right in that little sweet spot when you have like one too many options, and then it's like, I really don't want to make a mistake. But yeah, so I want to say 14 though.
Well, damn it, I was wrong. Brandon, you guys suck the worst. You guys are the 11th overall pick, and the Colts are at 14. Denver's at 20. As you can see, I stole this board from PFF. Don't sue me. But this is the layout of the land, and this is going to be the order for tomorrow. Now, if you were to go down as a GM, you'd probably say, hey, first through five are pretty much covered. But I'm like I said, I'm giving you guys the floor. Brandon, your team sucked the worst. I'll play it one more. Hopefully, it doesn't go too loud. If
I
you,
can't hear it.
well, they can hear it on the stream. But look, if you had to pick for the 11th overall pick for the San Francisco 49ers, even if you want to give position, because I know that it's a little interesting when you get to draft week, what would you say are the biggest emphasis for the San Francisco 49ers going into tomorrow?
First off, I want to say it's weird that we are the 11th pick out of the Broncos and the Colts, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not to brag or anything based off the success it had as a team.
Well,
So, I mean, I'll take medicine. I think personally, trenches is a big thing for the Niners. I feel like, particularly, I always harp on them for offensive line every year. You know, I feel like John Lynch and Shanahan don't necessarily invest that much in that particular part of their team as offensive line. However, I think this year, as much as I get tired every single draft of hearing or of us picking a defensive lineman, I think honestly this draft we need a defensive lineman more than anything. We've been trying to find a opposite, I guess, cornerstone piece alongside Nick Bosa for some time. Tried in free agency, got Leonard Floyd. D Ford was there for a little bit until he had his injury problems came up. But I think personally, it'll be a big decision if we go defensive line. Although I don't want to force defensive line position. Like we really need to knock this 11th pick out of the water with the draft, considering just how we've been drafting late. I mean, we gave up 3 of our first round picks for quarterback no longer on the team. And I feel like now is the time where that's starting to come and bite us in the butt a little bit. So for that, I say defensive lineman, if it's a good time to pick a defensive lineman at 11. If not, I would like to see best player available. A guy that comes to mind personally for me is Will Johnson, if I'm wrong. um, but I feel like cornerback isn't necessarily a need, but I feel like he could be in a position where if he is on the board, I think John Lynch and Shanahan will take a chance on him. Although I feel like he will probably be going earlier in the draft, but that's just kind of my 2 cents. But I would say defensive line, Will Johnson would be a good pick. I don't think Ashton Jeanty will fall to 11, but I
yeah.
can see Shanahan, I guess going after him, not knowing how Christian McCaffrey is going to be, but I hope not for that sake. But
Real quick before I swing it to Marcus and get his take on his Colts, I do want to kind of bring up a question of sorts because you look at the departures over the span of the offseason. Obviously, you lose Halafunga to the Denver Broncos, Drake Greenlaw to the Denver Broncos, to name a couple of names. Those are just ones that I know personally. But even deeper than that, you look at what could potentially be unfolding. We understand that George Kittle is a restricted free agent right now, and he's holding out a voluntary minicamp, which is not necessarily anything to throw up any red flags, so to speak, but it's a little bit concerning. You see guys like Dallas Goedert potentially on the trade block heading into tomorrow. What do you say if you're John Lynch or if you're Kyle Shanahan? Are you taking a stab or maybe evaluating the tight end room, or even I mean running backs? They got a plethora of running backs in this draft class. Amari and Hampton, Travion Henderson, Quinshawn Judkins, obviously Ashton Jeanty. What is your thought process as you think about those guys and what could be happening in the future with those guys?
Well, it's interesting you brought up George Kittle because I feel like that's been kind of heating up in terms of just on 49er fan pages and stuff like that, like what's going on with him. He even in his press end of season press conference said he in his exit interview he needed to talk to Kyle Shanahan about particular stuff, which I saw that as a red flag. Like, okay, well, what was he going to talk to him about? Didn't go into details. So that's interesting. Another guy, honestly, that's on my mind that I've been hearing rumblings about is Trent Williams.
Mm.
John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have been saying he's coming back. Haven't heard it from the man himself. So it's almost like I feel like Kelvin Banks Jr. is an option for us at tackle, and I feel like if we do take him at 11, then I guess what's going on behind closed doors with Trent Williams is a very interesting conversation because Trent could easily be saying, "Hey, by the way, guys, I'm retiring." So just want to let you know. And Lynch and Shanahan can kind of be behind closed doors, being like, all right, well, don't say anything before the draft so you can draft your replacement. Not for sure that's going to happen, but that's what I've been kind of hearing from other analysts across Niners organization. George Kittle's another one. You can definitely look us going at tight end in the first round, although Kittle was a fifth round pick and whatnot. And I feel like Lynch tends to hit on or find tight ends later in the draft. So I think the first round isn't necessarily a priority for a tight end for Kittle, but I think tackle is the position primarily to look out for with Trent Williams because no one really knows what's going on with him right now.
And Marcus, I mean, we talk about the Indianapolis Colts. There's a lot of promise, but when you look at their season, and obviously, again, here I go tracking back to my team. The Indianapolis Colts played the Denver Broncos in the middle of the schedule, and it seemed as though they came in and were going to get a statement victory, and then everything just kind of trickled and fell apart. And you could look at multiple aspects of things, but what do you think is the one crippling thing? That the Indianapolis Colts could really emphasize this time around in their draft. Obviously, you bring in Anthony Richardson, who's been a project over the course of the past few years in the start of his career. Hopefully, he can turn the tide. Jonathan Taylor has dealt with a little bit of injury, but it's kind of a culmination of when he's on the field, he can perform, but he's also had discrepancies in terms of how much he's paid. I know that I think if I'm not mistaken, he had some contract issues or discrepancies. Talk a little bit about what you think the approach will be for Chris Ballard and company coming up tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's great points. With Anthony Richardson being a project, uh, I was a big fan of his once I realized that CJ Stroud wasn't coming to us. So I was like, the next best guy is AR, and it was going to be a project, and it's just more so of a because he hasn't had that many snaps in college, so it's more so just being patient with him. But I think we should go offensive line because we did lose our guard. So going to offensive line, like he was saying, you can always get a tight end because we definitely need a tight end. Can always get a tight end second round. I hope Mason Taylor is still available by the time by the time we come up second round. We can definitely grab him. But then we also need to figure out a linebacker because we also lost EJ Speed. Uh, EJ Speed, and he went to the Texans, which not a big fan of. But yeah, so I just think we should focus on, getting the offensive line and be able to protect AR and then also take a little pressure off of Jonathan Taylor. So if we can get AR going with throwing the ball and all that good stuff, then we won't have to feed Jonathan Taylor as much. And then you can also, he won't be injured as much. So if we can get that O line, we'll be all right.
O-line seems to be the pattern for you two. I believe Brandon had brought up a point earlier, and I really like the direction. But I believe the gentleman he was referring to was Will Campbell out of LSU. Great offensive tackle, and he brought up a point with Trent Williams as a replacement there. That is a very good point because you don't know necessarily the trajectory of Trent Williams' career. I mean, not a betting man here, but if you had to guess, you probably maybe could get about 2 more years if out of him, just knowing kind of his injury history and everything. And really, last year was a rarity because you don't see as many people as you do with the 49ers going down due to injury. And so it's unfortunate all around, Brandon. And I feel for you, dude. I understand what you're coming, where you're coming from. And I'm certain Marcus knows where you're coming from with the Colts. I'm sure they've had a lot of injury bugs, but I just feel for you, man.
I mean, yes, I see you say, but feel like you guys are sitting here probably being like, "Oh, come on, you've been in the Super Bowl the
Well,
last but 2 times the last 5 years." Like, and I don't feel sympathy for your team
you want to
injury.
know what's real unfortunate? Marcus has seen the Colts win a Super Bowl before Brandon has seen the 49ers win a Super Bowl. I didn't mean to throw shots. I'm sorry.
You guys are both seeing
It
Super
was a
Bowl.
long time ago. Long time ago.
Yeah, but still more recent than the 49ers.
Yeah.
All right, pivoting a little bit. All right, let's talk a little bit about quarterbacks because that always seems to be the headline for every single draft. Obviously, the Tennessee Titans came out yesterday in their press conference. They're like, we know who we're going to get. You could probably see the writing on the wall. It's Cam Ward out of Miami. When you look at the two prospects at the top of the board, would I be remiss in saying that your two best prospects or the two most touted are Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward? This time I swing it to you, Marcus. Am I missing the mark there? And if so, who are some other guys that you could think could make a really big statement in this draft class as far as quarterbacks go?
I honestly think Dart. Like, I think
Wow.
if he goes to the right situation, the right team, he can be like a stud, man. Like, he's athletic enough to not only move around in the pocket, but also scramble outside the pocket and take off with his legs. And you put him in the right situation, he'll shock a lot of people. Kind of like your quarterback down in Denver, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was a dime a dozen. Literally 10, dime a dozen. But I like that take. I like that. Yeah, I was spitting bars there. That's the Bush talking. Brandon, what say you, my friend?
I say Jalen Milrose. Like, look out for. I mean, something with the. I mean, not to say Alabama quarterbacks always make it in the NFL, but I mean, Tua's still around. Basically, Mac Jones is a backup, but just Alabama quarterbacks. What strikes me about them is they're battle tested, essentially. Being in the SEC, Alabama. So I don't think, obviously, if he goes to the right situation as well, I think that is he could be someone that makes noise and could be a good quarterback for whoever. Again, it has to be the right situation, but I think just the fact that he's in the SEC, I think can raise some stock. I know Shedeur Sanders' stock seems to be dropping, has been kind
Mm,
of dropping.
yeah.
So that's interesting as well.
In terms of, so in terms, if you were just, okay, take everyone out of the picture and let's talk about the two quarterbacks at their core. I know that this is often a cliche conversation, like, this one's going to be a bust and this one's going to be successful. We honestly don't know what the trajectory is, but we maybe have a little bit of context in terms of who has the most pressure. That's a different story because you see where these guys have come from. Obviously, Shedeur, the last name, he bears the last name Sanders, prime time being one of the most notable athletes in all of sports, not just football alone. But then Cam, going from a 0-star recruit and playing at Incarnate Word to going to Miami and absolutely shining, finishing in top five Heisman voting. In terms of the most pressure, between these two, who would you say has the most pressure? Brandon, I'll go to you first.
Shedeur, 100%. Almost
Ah,
butchered his name there, but I
okay.
just he's got to live up to his dad's potential in the NFL, just being Dion's kid and everything. That's going to be a lot of pressure on him already. So I definitely think for sure, 100% pressure's more on him.
Hmm. Marcus?
Yeah, I agree. Shedeur hands down. But I'm gonna pivot to not because of his last name, more so of how he went about and being himself outside of the normal lines of a quarterback. So being flashy, being this, doing whatever he wants as far as like off the field and bringing that attention to him. So, because I mean, Deion have a lot of kids, and we kind of forget about Deion Sanders Jr. Played down at SMU, and is a pretty decent football player. And then also the second oldest, he doesn't get as much pressure as Shedeur does. So I would say more so of just him being himself outside of the football field is what's bringing that pressure to for him to be that guy.
That's both. You both make excellent points. I think if I can give my 2 cents on this real quick, if you look at Shedeur's career, and I saw this point in Mel Kiper's mock draft, and I actually mentioned that in the notes because I thought it was a great take. I think the only thing with Shedeur is the concern for they had mocked him. So let me give context. They had mocked him to the New Orleans Saints, and I was very curious to know why that made sense. But you also see the pattern. He's also been mocked to places like the Raiders. Where do they play? Indoor venues. Does that help bolster the success of Shedeur? That's yet to be found. But I truly think that would have an impact if he was to go to one of those teams. But moreover, we don't talk about too much about who his trainer is. It's the greatest quarterback to ever play, Tom Brady. So to sit here and say, yeah, he's a for sure going number 9 overall to the New Orleans Saints, or he's going top 3, I would be remiss. I'm saying remiss too much. I would be not surprised if the Las Vegas Raiders take a shot and go curveball and bring in Shedeur Sanders. It would almost be the equivalence of the Falcons going Michael Penix, but just not as big of a shock, but just probably right in that same category because you didn't really see anybody talk about Penix through the first top 10 picks last year, and then there he goes to the Falcons. So I definitely see that being a story or potential story as things cook up tomorrow. But pivoting to his Colorado teammate, or as I like to use to call it, a segue to the Colorado teammate, Travis Hunter. Marcus, you being a former defensive back, I believe you played your collegiate career at McNeese, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So I want your take, and I'll get Brandon's to follow up on this, but you specifically because this is a kid that's coming into the league who played a crap ton of snaps. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was over 2,000 in the span of his 2 years at Colorado, which is absolutely crazy to think about. But when you think about the toll from a collegiate standpoint and then graduating into professional, do you think that professional teams are going to be lenient enough to be like, hey, we'll entertain playing you at both sides and do so? Or do you think that's not going to be much of a conversation for Travis when he gets to the pros?
I think it's more so how he performed during like training camp and off season and seeing how many snaps he can, participate in. So it's more so of just his endurance throughout that times, man. I mean, Dion did it, but it wasn't as much, but he did kind of dibble and dabble with both sides of the ball. But I think more so like people need to understand is that when the NFL when they practice, they don't be like intense 100% every time.
Right.
Like they're not going banging each other. You know what I'm saying? So he doesn't have the toll is not going to be as much as they think like a college practice would be. Like you're a lot more physical doing practice in college than you are in NFL. Now I never played in NFL, but just seeing, the clips and hearing people talk about it and, the guys that came down from the UFL, came to the UFL, talk about the practices is not that intense. It's more so of just mental reps more than anything. So if he can manage his body, I don't see why not. They take a chance on him playing both sides of the ball. Because, I mean, if you're really being honest, like if he do go in on offense, like they're not going to be running him across the field that much because they want him to be also on defense. So I don't think they're going to just put him in any situation to fail. Like if they give him that chance to try out with both sides of the ball.
But real quick, Brandon, before I get to your point, and I apologize, but that begs the question in terms of longevity, what are we looking at in terms of Travis Hunter and his career overall? I mean, are we getting quality a good 10 years, or is it going to be perhaps shorter? Like, what does the tread look like, do you think?
He may have to tap in with LeBron James trainer, man, because as I mean, if we're being honest, because I mean, he came on the record and said like he trains intensively and he treats his body right. So I can see it like him going because he's been playing both sides of the ball since high school. So
Right.
probably little league as well. I mean, we all done dabbled in both sides of the ball in little league, middle school, and all that good stuff, but you really feel the effect until you hit high school. So he's been doing this since high school. So he know his body more than anybody. Like, more about it more than GMs and execs and all them guys. So if he treats his body right, I don't see why he can't play 10 years. Like he just has to be smart. I mean, Tyler Lockett, for example, not to spend long on it, but Tyler Lockett does a great job of avoiding hits whenever he catches the ball. So if he can, you know, take some of that game from Tyler Lockett, like catch a slant, go down. Like you don't need yak if you don't have to get it. Like just go down and preserve your body. So I can see him playing 2 years on both sides of the ball. And once again, he's not going to be playing all the snaps on offense. Maybe not all the snaps on defense. So it definitely can be done. It's just more so of people just want something to talk about, and this is something to talk about because he's actually come out and say like, I want to play both sides of the ball and I'm going to play both sides of the ball. So what's going to attract that is people saying, "Oh, he's not going to be able to do it." So that's all it really is. So
Brandon, what do you think about his longevity as a player, and specifically on both sides of the football?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would like to see him do it, play both sides of the ball. I feel like, I mean, I can't think of a player in the NFL. You can tell me if you could think of a player in the NFL that plays both sides of the ball currently. Um, but I mean, I don't know if it will happen per se. I think people tend to forget the difference between the professional game and college. Just the pace. You know, you have these injuries happen a lot of the time to guys in the NFL compared to college. I mean, he played both ways in college, but NFL is definitely a lot more faster. And I feel like that's probably my biggest concern for me seeing him play both ways. Although, kind of like what Marcus was saying, I definitely would want to see it. I think that'd be pretty cool to have someone play on both sides of the ball. And I don't know how the team, whoever picks him, I feel like he's going to probably go in the top five, how they're going to view him as playing both ways. But I feel like if I'm any team picking up that high, kind of in the top 10, I'd probably be like, oh, do I really want to risk, his body for, especially with the NFL potentially adding on yet another game? It's just another game where he can risk his body. So it's kind of my thought process.
Well, both excellent thoughts, man. You guys are batting 1,000 tonight. I greatly appreciate the input, and I greatly appreciate the opinions. And not only that, guys, I am immensely appreciative for you guys taking time out of your nights and being able to share your thoughts and your perspectives on the drafts. I do have a couple more questions, I do believe. So I will pivot real quick. We'll see where Travis Hunter goes tomorrow. I'm excited to see if he does go top three real quick. That'll be the first time since 2022. We remember that draft. We were in Vegas when Darren Stingley or Stingley, oh my gosh, Stingley went number two overall to the Houston Texans. Okay, pivoting. Now, I want your bold predictions in terms of what we could be seeing tomorrow. And this could be anything outlandish as far as, hey, 49ers are going to trade George Kittle. Hope they trade him to the Broncos. Or we could see, anything like that, anything outlandish, anything bold, trading up, trading down. Could we see somebody be making moves twice, picking two players up? Marcus, I'll start with you once more, sir. What is your bold prediction for tomorrow?
I don't think anyone is going to do like a big trade, a trade up. Honestly, I think
Wow.
it's gonna go Cam, Shedeur, and Travis 1, 2, and 3. Now, I don't know who's gonna go 1 or 2 or 3, but those for sure. But I don't think a team is gonna risk it because if I'm being honest, the only person to risk it for is Travis,
Mhm.
but I don't see anybody just like, oh, we have to go out and get this guy. And like he mentioned with Travis, like you go out and get him, now you have to entertain the idea of him playing both sides of the ball. And then like, oh, I just risk everything to trade up to go get you. I don't want you to play both sides of the ball. So I honestly I don't think anyone is gonna make that bold move for at least the 1, 2, and 3.
For sure. Brandon?
I feel like in the past couple drafts, kind of to your point, Marcus, we haven't like I feel like trading's been down for a lot of teams, especially trading up. And if teams do trade, I feel like they only move up like one spot to jump another team to pick who they want that they think another team might get. So it would surprise me if they see like if we see like a team come from like for the 49ers sake, 11 up to like 5. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. I know there's a lot of depth in this draft, but I feel like the amount of depth for the first round, I don't know how kind of teams view as how many like blue chip prospects there are specifically in the first round. And so I don't know if there's going to be anyone worth maybe Travis and in the top 3, but I don't know if anyone's going to make that jump to necessarily like Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, great, but I wouldn't call them, like as great prospects as, Trevor
Right.
Lawrence or some of the other quarterbacks who had in the
Yeah.
past make a team want to make the jump from like 15 up to 2. So I think if we do, it'd probably be like one spot, but yeah, I don't know if we're going to see any, to be honest.
I don't think if it's anything
Yeah, for
out.
sure. Yeah, he
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. My fault.
no, yeah, I was just saying no, you're good, you're good. I was just saying he made a great point on it being depth in this draft. Like it's not the only guy is just Travis that just wows anyone. But everybody else has depth. Like if you miss out on Will, you get another guy. Like you miss out on a tight end, you can get another guy. Like you miss out on quarterback, there's plenty more. So even running back, there's plenty of them. So it's not any guy besides Travis that just wow you enough to, in my opinion, wow you enough to really risk future draft picks or whatever you're trading to go out and get that guy.
I don't know if it's anything that's bold, but I will make this claim right now. I think that the Las Vegas Raiders have been in on Shedeur Sanders from the jump, and I wholeheartedly believe that with Tom Brady having minority ownership in that brand, in the Raiders, him being the trainer for Shedeur Sanders, I think that they make a run and they ultimately pull off drafting Shedeur Sanders if he's on the board. I think that Shedeur, even where coming in and to develop under Geno Smith, um, I honestly think that you are in the best place possible with Pete Carroll, and it hurts me to say that. Like I don't want to play Shedeur Sanders, but I think bringing in a young guy like that to add depth to Geno. I just think that gives him something to learn off of and grow. And then obviously, having that connection with Tom Brady, I think he can do a lot for that franchise. And I'd be stupid if I said, I'm gonna go running back on this one. Like, no, you need to go where you hurt the most, and it's offensive line and quarterback. Because Geno is not going to take you to the damn playoffs in the AFC West. It's just not going to happen. Maybe my words come back to bite me like they always do, but we'll see. I look. I would love to talk shop all night, but
Wait,
oh, go ahead. Yes, sir. Real quick.
I was gonna say what pick does the Vegas has?
Take
5,
it.
6? Which
Five,
one?
6, right?
5, 6, 5. Let me go back to the board.
6, 5.
I'm nearsighted. I can't see far away. Don't judge me.
I'm
We're
trying
looking
to think. No, you good. I'm trying to think who's ahead of them.
I love a good 10-second delay on the live stream while I'm trying to read the live stream. We're looking at so damn it. We got the Browns. We've got okay, so Titans, Browns, Giants. We got the Patriots, we got the Jaguars, and then boom, we got the Raiders right there. So take with that information what you will.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah. So I mean,
Okay.
me personally, I still don't care about who's ahead of me on the board. I'm taking Shedeur. Like he's gonna be there whenever he comes around. So it's not a matter of if, but when. So yeah, I think the Raiders are in a good spot to take Shedeur. And if Jeanty's on the board regardless, I'm still taking Shedeur. I'm sorry, sue me. I just think that's the place that they need to go. So yeah, but that's my 2 cents. All right. Well, we got a second hour coming up, but this whole stream stuff is a pain in the ass. So we're going to take a break. And then when we come back, we'll have a whole new guest on here. But thank you guys so much for joining me tonight in this first hour to talk shop. Next hour is going to be it's going to be a blast. It's going to be fun having my brother on the show to be able to talk shop with us. But you guys, thank you so much, Marcus. Thank you so much, Brandon. Make sure you find him and follow him, guys. It's OTR Media for Marcus, and then it's at B Scott Antony 49. Guys, you are the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you guys enjoy the draft tomorrow. And hell, I hope that the Colts get Tyler Warren, and I hope that the San Francisco 49ers get Will Johnson, or as I like to call him, Will Campbell. So thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Hour number 2 is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. If you saw the first hour, it was great. Big shout out to Brandon Antony, and big shout out to my good friend Marcus Gray. And now hour number 2 is here. And I'd be remiss if I didn't extend an invite to one of my, well, he's blood. Make sure you find him and follow him at Aydan Hartman _1, right?
Yes, sir. No, just Aydan _Hartman.
Aydan _Hartman. He's one of the most brilliant minds in the family in terms of the NFL draft, but nobody ever gives him enough credit. Yeah, dude knows how to draft. Dude knows what he's talking about. I made him look like absolute shit the last time I posted him on the social media. Sorry, excuse my French. That's just the way it is. Sorry about that. We're getting into it. We're talking draft here. And honestly, Aydan, I mean, we could start with talking Broncos because that's what we're comfortable with. But on this show, how we run things, we typically do an icebreaker. First and foremost, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Anything new in your life? Anything exciting? Tell the people what you're on, what you do. What? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Nothing new really. Just been working. On X, Instagram. That's pretty much it. Most of my stuff, sport-wise, is X.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, we'll plug you in for hour 2 as far as your socials. This is going to go up on YouTube, so all your socials are going to be plugged in. So anybody that views, they know right where to find you and know where to grab your stuff. All right, I want to talk. Let's just get right into it. Obviously, we are under 24 hours away from the 2025 NFL Draft. Tennessee Titans are going to be first on the clock, be making their pick. I want to start with this, man. We look at sort of the first 3 picks, and everything's, well, some would argue that it's kind of already set in stone the direction people are going. But if you had to kind of take an objective lens to everything, what are some surprises that a fair weather NFL fan should be in store for? What are you kind of watching going into tomorrow night? Where do you think things get tricky on the board in terms of the overall draft? Maybe picks 1 through 10 specifically.
I think in general, the keys are being held by the Browns.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, it's going to be a mess if the Browns don't just take Hunter or Shedeur. If they pass up on Shedeur, you could see the Raiders going that route. You could see, the Saints trying to trade up. The Steelers could be in the process of that. I mean, if Travis falls, then obviously the Patriots could look into Travis. And then that makes guys like Jeanty come available for a number of teams. And I think the Browns really kind of decide what route the Patriots go. They decide what route the Raiders go. The Raiders are the big one too. I think the Browns and Raiders have the most holding power as far as trading wise.
When you look at the Raiders could go so many directions because I know that they've had anything mocked from Mimbu out of Mizzou.
Mm-hmm.
They've been connected to Shedeur, obviously. Ashton becoming a conversation piece over the course of the past, couple of weeks. But for me personally, and I said this on the first hour, I really do think, I really do think Shedeur Sanders is going to be the plot twist. And you go back to last year in 2024, when we were talking about the Atlanta Falcons, there wasn't any connection to Michael Penix, but it made sense on paper because if you bring in Kirk Cousins, you understand the ups and downs he's had in his career. And so that's kind of that insurance pick. When you look at Geno Smith, he kind of interprets the same as Kirk Cousins on paper. How that translates to Shedeur's game, well, let's talk about the pros. He's going to be with a veteran in Pete Carroll as a coach. He's playing in an indoor stadium. And oh, by the way, his mentor is just so happens to be a minority owner, excuse me, of the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't see how you veer from that and develop Shedeur to become, Chuck made this comp, Dad made this comp, a couple days ago. He said Jared Goff, which I was like, that's honestly not a bad comp in comparison to what he is. What are your thoughts on Shedeur's stock kind of falling? And do you think that that's one of the suitors, Saints being one of the suitors? Kind of talk me through Shedeur's stock and where you think he ultimately ends up.
I think it's kind of like just a quarterback game. You never know if they're really falling. Teams could just be throwing smoke screens to try to keep the players under wraps. You definitely look at the Browns. They need a quarterback. They could solve a big, big hole. But then again, you could be like, well, drafting a quarterback hasn't worked in the past, so we're going to stick it with the veterans. Then, if they pass, you could see the Giants, of course. Abdul Carter is amazing, but they have a big hole there at quarterback. And I think if Shedeur is the solution, then the Giants are going to be a really good team. So there's just a lot of holes in the top 10 teams. You just don't know where they're going to go. The Raiders, I think Geno would be an amazing mentor for Shedeur for sure. And if Shedeur falls to 6, I don't see them taking Jeanty over Shedeur just because how much they need a young quarterback. But then again, you have 5 years in Geno maybe if he's keeps healthy. So it's kind of hard to tell even what they're going to do. I wouldn't. Jeanty's hard to pass up on as for the Raiders too. I feel he's just that good. Definitely one of the best running back prospects to come out. So,
but go ahead.
There's a lot of directions that 3 of the 5 could go because obviously the other 2 are.
Well, I will say to kind of piggyback off your point, you talk about the depths of this class, running back being one of the primary. Second to that, you have your tight ends and defensive backs. I think you could make an argument also have tremendous depth in this particular draft class. For me, I think Jeanty is one of those guys where you kind of pencil him in like watch his career because he could be one of those gold jacket guys. So what I'm saying is he's not necessarily, replicable. He's not one of those guys that you can get throughout the duration of a draft. In comparison, though, you look at the depth at running back, take your pick. You got guys that are great at pass pro, guys that are great at catching out of the backfield. So ultimately, my point is if the Raiders wanted to fall back and if they wanted to, wait it out for a running back, they ideally could. Now, off the top of my head, what do they have in the second round or third? I couldn't tell you, but I know for a fact that there is so much depth. Dylan Sampson, Caleb Johnson. I mean, you could go into the second day 2 and you could probably find the honey hole of this litter. So I don't think it's necessarily an impatience game. I think the patient person wins in this draft. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Again, I just feel Jeanty separates a big, big gap between Jeanty and the second and third best running back. Just not really one of those, on paper at least, not one of those guys you can replicate. Overall, he doesn't have many holes. He's every game he's 100, 200-yard back, and he just makes it look so easy. But again, you look at the tackle depth, and there isn't that many good tackles. You got Will, obviously. You got the Mizzou kid. Yeah. I really like the Mizzou kid, and they could definitely go that way, especially the other day they didn't sign Colton Miller, so they're still fighting that battle. And I don't know if that showed anything, but same thing with quarterbacks in the second round. I think Milroe is going to be pretty good, at least kind of more like the Anthony Richardson. He could be very good. You just don't know. Jackson Dart, I've actually been a huge fan of. So, I mean, it goes both ways. And then that kid from Louisville, Tyler Stroud, he's killing it.
Right.
So,
It's
just
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, you're good.
I was going to say to kind of pivot from that conversation, we'll put a pin in it and we'll kind of come back. But I did want to get sort of your input because I know, you talk about honey holes, and I didn't mention this in the previous. Wide receivers is another conversation piece of this draft. There's a lot of depth up and down the board. When you look at some of the kind of standout, take your pick. I mean, you could throw a name. I mean, there's so many freaking receivers to choose from. Talk about the first round in particular: Tedero McMillan, Luther Burden III, Emeka Egbuka. A lot of great names to choose from. You're putting you're one of these wide receiver deprived rooms in the NFL. Who's kind of your go-to guys? Travis Hunter, of course, but I kind of leave him out of the conversation because I'm like, well, I mean, I don't even know what direction he's going to go when he gets to the league. He says he wants to play two ways, but you know how the tread is on NFL players. I mean, we talked about this last hour. I don't necessarily know. I can't get a gauge on what's going to happen with him. So is it for sure set in stone? Travis may say one thing, but the league may say another thing. So I don't necessarily know. So it's kind of an asterisk. But you look at the depth, put your GM hat on, man. Outside of Hunter, I guess, what are some guys that you think, damn, like they could really be someone of a, not to put them right there, but, your Justin Jeffersons of past, your Jamar Chases of past. Kind of give me some guys that you're looking at the receiver room that you think are some really top talents of this class.
So, I don't think there's a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, anything like that in this draft. I think it's deep, but a lot of guys are hit or miss. You don't know what they're going to do. And I think any of the top 5 receivers could go 5 or they could go 40. I mean, it just depends. There's just so many holes. Burden is my one. I really like Burden. I think he's going to have a Brian Thomas like rookie year. I'm not high on Tet McMillan at all. I think his speed's going to really come back and bite him in the butt in the league. But teams, I've seen that he's falling, so who knows? He could be in there in the 30s, but he also could go at Panthers at 7 or what? Panthers are 7 or 9.
Right.
Any of those top teams that are looking that way. Amuka, I love Egbuka.
Yeah.
Amika, yeah. He's a stud. I think he's going to be really another one that's going to 1,000-yard receiver. It's going to be like last year. There was like 2 or 3 1,000-yard guys, kind of more under the radar guys, but I think they're all going to have solid years. I think Zach Beck could be kind of that Lad McConkey of last class, just under the radar, comes out and has 1,500 yards. Or there's just a lot of. I think the third round guys could come out and be better than the first round guys in this draft.
I crapped on Ohio State, and I still crap on Ohio State because I think SEC reigns supreme. But that's a different story for a different day. Honest conversation that I had with former Ohio State wide receiver, and you can go see it on my YouTube channel, Johnny Dixon, who played alongside Terry McLaurin, Paris Campbell, just to name a couple of guys. He echoed the sentiment that you're saying. He's like, Brian Hartline is one of the greatest wide receiver coaches in college football, if not the greatest. You could not tell me otherwise. It's how he started that conversation. So when you look at guys like Jackson Smith and Jigbo, when you look at guys like Garrett Wilson, when you look at guys like what's another one? I mean, obviously you got it, Mika Marvin Harrison Jr. with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, every year.
It's a wheelhouse in terms of how they are able to develop receivers. His stock has taken somewhat of a meteoric rise, and it's kind of astounding that it's taken such a huge rise in such late notice. Because typically, when you go into drafts, specifically with Ohio State receivers, they're typically a top of the line. You don't see one kind of move from middle of the pack to top. They're usually a top 10, top 15 conversation piece. I mean, are you buying into the stock of Egbuka? I know I'm kind of segueing into Broncos conversation here because I know he's been linked to Denver. Are you drinking that Kool-Aid, so to speak? And what are your thoughts on him as a talent overall?
I think Amika, we were talking about McLaurin, and I just saw this. He's a lot like McLaurin coming out of college. Not really, everybody wasn't super high on him because he's not flashy, he's just a good receiver. He's solid at everything he needs to be solid at, and it's just nothing off the paper. Stat-wise, he was great, but he's not. No crazy catches. I mean, he just catches the ball, runs his route. I mean, he does everything a receiver needs to do. I would love Amika in Denver. He's my favorite option for Denver. Obviously, I don't think we need Burden.
Right.
But I would love Amika. I think he's a lot higher on boards than people think. He could be the first receiver off in this draft. Matthew Golden, another one I forgot to mention earlier. He's just one of those speed guys that you don't know if he's going to be great or you don't know if he's going to be like some of the other Texas receivers. Worthy, who's obviously young, but wasn't great last year. Man, they get some Texas receivers.
I mean, of recent, Worthy just. Oh, go ahead, Johnston. No, TCU.
No, he was TCU. Yeah, but there's just nobody notable. But there's been one at least in every draft. So it's just hard to tell.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
obviously SEC this year, so that I mean it's a different story. So he could be all right.
right. And that's the one reservation I have about Ohio State is the strength of schedule and competition. Maybe that's my subjectivity kicking in, but I don't see in a world where you say, "Oh, SEC's competition is equivalent to that of Big 12." I mean, we're not playing your Indiana Hoosiers and we're not playing Kurt Signetti. We're playing the freaking Tennessee Volunteers. We're playing Ole Miss and Mississippi State, which maybe bottom of the barrel programs within the confines of the SEC, but they're still better than most Power 5, Power 4 conferences bottom of the barrel. So like they're not your average. They're really talented in all facets. I want to kind of pivot though and segue into your wheelhouse, and we'll talk Denver. This is a team coming off of a first time in 10 years that they made it to the playoffs. Obviously, that was the talk. Bo Nix's meteoric rise as the starting QB. You have a wide receiver room where Sean Payton said, "Hey, I really actually like what we have going on right now. We are cultivating growth and we have a little bit of a culture going on, so to speak, within the confines of the receiver room." But I want to kind of get your take on the things that may be missing that should be emphasized coming into this draft. What are some positions of need? And we know this, it's really rhetorical. But from your sense, from a journalistic standpoint, what are your thoughts on position of need? And don't mind if Chuck joins in on the conversation. We got a hot mic, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. What are your thoughts?
I don't think there's much of a need on the team. Overall, they're solid. They have everything they need. They could be a playoff team this year, next year. I mean, they don't need anything, but definitely want a running back. I'd say receiver 2 is obviously they're high on it, but there's a lot of hit or misses. We don't know if Vele is going to be that guy that he was last year. And I mean, I would hope that a little more than last year at least. I think Peyton showed for sure that he wants another receiver, whether it's Muka or Golden. I've seen Golden, but I don't personally like Golden. I like Ibuka. I don't think first round's where we go at all. Running back is my hope. I would obviously anything possible if Jeanty's past the Raiders, then we need to trade up. But beyond that, there's not many holes, and I'll take D-line any day.
Chuck, what are your thoughts?
Jack Bash.
All right, that was easy.
You can get Ty Robinson in the 4th for the
Well, I'll pose the same question. I mean, if you look beyond receiver, what are kind of your thoughts going into this draft, and what do you think Denver's going to emphasize as we get into the later rounds? Or I mean, what would you like to see as the point of emphasis going into the draft this weekend?
Where are we picking? Are you talking first round? If you're talking first round,
second,
on defense, I'm going Eamon.
Moreover, date 2 through 3, but I mean, yeah, I'll take your 2 cents on more.
It's hard to pick the first for Denver.
Okay.
I don't know if I think sometimes you feel like you're moving up, and if you're not moving up, why not move back?
I agree. I think they could go anywhere, and especially with the Imamori, it seems Denver gets more and more safeties, but they want more and more safeties. So Sean Payton again has also showed that he definitely wants another safety. whether it's Imamori or a later one, he's going to get a safety. I don't know when, but that'll be a deal. And Imamori is one of those guys that can play safety, linebacker, corner, wherever you want him. I think corner might be honestly a kind of shocker, but they aren't going to take it in the first.
No, I'd get Dorian Porter.
Yeah, Porter, one of the bigger, lengthy guys. I don't. There's just not many holes. I like Nolan if we do go D line or Hartman.
Kobe Bryant be a nice one. He's not.
Kobe Bryant, he's going later now too. As long as he stays off Twitter, I like him.
I will ask, sticking with your wheelhouse, and I want you to give perspective on Arkansas. I know that you watched Arkansas thoroughly throughout the year. You are a diehard Arkansas fan. I don't understand why, but kind of give your 2 cents on Arkansas and what you think. Landon Jackson has obviously been one of the talks. I know that they have a receiver that's moving right now in terms of stock. So kind of take me through what your thoughts are on Arkansas's players as a whole and where we could see some of these guys.
It's weird. We were talking about Golden, and obviously he plays SEC DBs. Armstrong has played the same people. He's the first SEC leading receiving yard receiver I've ever seen that isn't ranked in the first round, second round. He's what, 4, 5, 6, anywhere in there. And I mean, he's just your all-around receiver. I see CeeDee Lamb when I see him, truly.
Wow.
I think I had him in my, I think 5 or 6 in this draft, just because I didn't want to be biased. But he's a stud. I mean, he's everything. He's tall, lengthy, fast. I think he ran a 4.42. Great hands. I don't think he really had a drop this year. Focusing on Landon, I think that would definitely be a guy I'd trade back for. He's falling and is kind of in that same situation, just weird. He was leading in sacks last year over some great prospects. I mean, had that linebacker at LSU, definitely Texas A&M edge, and he was leading all of them in the SEC. This year, again, he's had a great year. I think he had like 6 or 7 sacks and then tackles everybody. Beyond that, there's not a ton. J.Q. Jackson late in the first or late in the 7th or undrafted at running back. He's good. Beyond that, I wouldn't really draft many. I like Tesla a lot too. He's definitely shown up in the combine, and he's jumped Armstrong somehow. He was like our 400-yard receiver, jumped our almost 1,700-yard receiver this year. So that is a weird one, but he's super athletic. He has like a 42-inch vertical, super fast, great hands. They obviously recruited him because of his one-hand catching and ability to catch.
Huh.
So it's kind of a hit or miss.
So what are your thoughts? Let me ask you this question. Let's go back to Denver real quick. We'll put a pin in the Arkansas conversation. The Denver Broncos have to do what to take back the AFC West division going into this draft? And obviously, the leading answer is running back has to be addressed. But on a deeper level, what are things that need to be emphasized in order for us to gain momentum and ultimately win back what was rightfully, the titles before the Chiefs had their long tenure?
Well, I think it depends. You see how Riley Moss is after injury. Obviously, he got injured. He was great before injury, not great after injury. If he plays good, good. If he doesn't, that's a hole. I don't think Singleton's that good. That's a hole. Obviously, Greenlaw's got his side of the field, so who knows? Maybe Singleton in that LB2 role could be good. Something you also watch. Drew Sanders, I think, is going to take that spot and run with it. Super athletic, fast. He can cover. Great sacks. Great tackler. I think you look at D-line for sure. Short up, whether it's early, late. This draft's so deep at D-line, especially. Hartman could fall in the second. I've seen running back. I think is
They
our
brought
one.
Greenlaw in for coverage, so I'm not worried about Drew Sanders.
Yes. Yeah, Greenlaw can cover, and so can Sanders. So then we're really set. I mean, we'll have our best all-around linebacker group I think I've seen.
Add Imamori to that. That'd be pretty cool.
Exactly. Yep. Imamori, Bassa. I like Bassa a lot. Chris Paul. If he falls, I would be ecstatic. He's amazing. I think he'll be the best linebacker in this class. There's a lot of linebackers in this draft too. But
OU.
OU, yes, Stutzman.
Mhm.
Stutzman's his dog. I don't know. I really think if we can figure out cornerback too, if Riley is back, that's gonna help a ton. Um,
So what if we
Defense, I think, is fine. We're going to be a top 3 defense no matter what. We definitely got to fix the running back issue, and then if receivers done, they're done. If not, I wouldn't mind another one, whether it's Beck, Armstrong, somebody early. We just got a couple little holes on offense.
so what if we trade back?
I wouldn't mind trading back. I'm open trading up or back. If it's Jeanty, that's the only one I want to trade up for. Beyond that, we'll trade back.
Unless you get Travis.
Oh, of course, of course. And that I saw the Browns were open to trading too. I'm like, hey, we'll trade the house for Travis.
I was thinking about that too. Like, I wonder if they're talking to him about taking that, like taking Travis at 2 and then trading with us at 20 to move back up into the first and give us 33-67
Don't be shy, big fella. Come into the frame.
and another one like in the 5th.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Definitely some draft day stuff.
That'll allow us to take Henderson at 33 where he should be drafted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy where they have him marked.
We can maybe pull back and Porter.
That would be cool. I'd be happy. I think especially I don't think there's needs like you could trade anybody on our team besides obviously the main key players. Like Benito, I'd throw him in the trade for Hunter. I think Hunter is just a different guy. He's a different breed. But anything you can do to save a couple future picks, I would do. Which again, you also have to take into account Denver's future picks are going to be 27 and above. We're not going to have a
Get
top
used to
20
it.
pick. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like the Eagles. That's why the Eagles are so good. They're not scared to trade those picks or trade the players. And I think if you have a player like Hunter or Jenny, you trade the house for him because the 27 to 30 pick you can get with your second round picks if you want it that bad.
Hey, Nikki, nice knowing you, pal.
No, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I just said. You don't have to trade Nick because we're gonna have late first round picks.
That's fair. All right. I always do this when it comes to the draft. It's kind of a tradition. I get to press buttons over here, so I'm satisfied. With the 20th pick, or are you going to trade? We don't know. You make that announcement. But temporarily, with the 20th pick, the Denver Broncos select. Who you selecting, bud? You didn't even hear the bell, did you?
If we're at 20,
Did you hear the bell?
oh man, no, I didn't, but it's okay. Shit,
Crickets.
that's hard.
All right, we'll come back to you. With the 20th pick in
Wait,
2020.
we're gonna trade up. We're not doing 20 because
All
I don't
right.
like 20. 20 sucks.
Spinning the
Whether
house.
we're up or down, I don't like 20. We're
Trade-
trading up.
What we
The
take?
Raiders are stupid and took Shedeur Sanders. Jaguars took Graham. We're trading up to 9, and we are taking Ashton Jeanty. Whether it
Okay.
takes 2 picks, 3 picks, it don't matter.
All
Ashton
right.
Jeanty is the solution.
I like it. Keep them in the blue and orange. Love that. Better than the black and silver.
We
Chuck,
obviously got Mickey on standby.
that's also a good point. That is a very good point. Chuck with the 20th pick. What's it? Not the country music. The Denver Broncos select.
They're not staying at 20.
Okay. They're also trading up.
Trade with Jacksonville at 5.
Okay. So they're trading with Jacksonville.
Ashton Jeanty.
Taking Ashton Jeanty. All right. Ashton Jeanty again in the blue and orange.
And I agree, and that's where I said earlier, the Browns hold the keys. If the Browns take Shedeur, then trade up to 5 right away. If the Browns don't take Shedeur, then the Raiders are going to take Shedeur. So it's kind of like yeah. You watch the Browns.
The Raiders are going to take Embo.
Oh,
Ah,
oh,
Hi.
phone's
oh,
getting
there
there.
we go.
There it is. There
Stu,
it
what's
is.
not popped up?
Oh, it's all good. It's all good, man. We all have those problems. All right. Well, I mean, do we have any other questions or any other things we should go over? Was there anything that you wanted to ask me or Dad? Did you want to ask anything of the people?
I think the 5 to 10 is where it gets tricky. You gotta watch the Panthers, the Jets. You got what the Cowboys 11, or you got the Saints at 9 who want a quarterback. Where do you think they all go? If Shedeur falls, do the Jets take him? Do the Saints trade up for him? How does that go?
Is
If
Denver still at 20?
Yeah, yeah. If Denver stayed at 20,
And who's gone?
just the top of the where everybody's saying everybody's going. We'll say
He's gone.
you got Hunter gone, you got Jeanty gone, you got Shedeur gone, obviously Cam Ward gone. See who's for Graham gone. So you got the
Abdul Carter.
top 5 on my board gone. Oh yeah, Abdul Carter, of course. So Shedeur's there, I guess.
There's going to be a battle for tight ends.
Yep. I think on my mock, I think I had Warren going to the Saints. I think that would be a great fit.
That was a
Yeah.
good point. Real quick,
He'll go to the Jets.
Yep, that would be a good one too. But I think if Melifanu falls, they would take Melifanu. But yes, for sure.
so on our social accounts at Strive Sports Productions and at Strive Sports Mo on Twitter, Strive Sports Productions on Instagram, we posted a mock draft. Aydan was kind enough to contribute. I screwed it up in the process. I put a bunch of crap out. It was the wrong information. So for anybody that clowned me in the comments, I think there was like one person, maybe like 10 likes. I get
Probably
it.
me.
We're all busy. Sorry. But anyway, it according to this, it was Cam Ward 1, Travis Hunter 2, Abdul Carter 3, Will Campbell 4, Mason Graham 5, Ashton Jeanty 6, Shedeur Sanders 7 to the Jets, 8, Tetroa McMillan at Panthers, 9, the Saints take Matthew Golden, 10, Malachi Starks to the Bears, 11, Armand Mimbo to the 49ers, and to round out the 12 picks, Amarion Hampton to Dallas. I don't know if
To
that was
clarify, that was about 3 months ago when I made that.
okay.
So
So not
things have
updated.
changed. If I think the Browns are still the kicker there, obviously. I don't know if they take Shedeur or Travis. I really don't. And I think they would take Travis because it'd be
What if
stupid
they
to
trade it?
pass. Huh?
What if they trade it?
Or yes, and that's what was on the table yesterday, the day before. That's all I've seen too. And so it's really a open hole that I think they have all the keys to everything this draft. It's just whatever the Browns do is going to shape the rest of the draft.
Did
5
you
to
watch,
10, I think they all like the same players.
did you watch Well Off Media's coverage?
Who?
Well Off Media's?
Deion Sanders Jr.'s coverage of the pro day, the behind the scenes video of them running the 40, and then
Uh-uh.
Travis off to the side talking with Sean Payton for a good.
Oh, yeah.
And Sean made a pitch to him right there wearing Travis Hunter's new shoes. But
It
he's
was
like, these aren't
Travis.
Travis Hunter's. These are Travis. Look. He showed the ball.
No, I'm serious. I think that anything's on the table. Sean Payton knows what he's doing. Anything he does, I'm approving. I hate Colston Loveland. That'd be my last. But if he takes him, I'm gonna be happy. I think that Hunter's on the table, and I think that Jenny's on the table. We could trade up to 2. We could trade back to second round. I think anything could happen.
Yeah, it doesn't really scare me either because, like, the big receivers to me is Bash. But then,
Yeah.
even if we don't get Bash, I'm looking at 2 years down the road when Ohio State's freshman and Alabama's freshman.
Yeah. Singleton or Smith and Ryan.
Yeah, when they're available for the draft, that's when I'll look at those boys.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely solid. And I think even beyond that, there's still good ones in the free agency that we could look at. So I'm not crazy worried. I think Armstrong truly could be a really good pickup for whoever gets him.
And at tight end, I still think they'll trade for George Kittle.
In that, he is holding out, so you never know. They're really open no matter what we do. Trading players, trading up, trading down, it doesn't matter. I think that they have a plan, and they're a lot more prepared than a lot of the delusional fans that I see every day. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. That's all there is to it. I don't see us staying at 20. I think that's a terrible spot, and that's certain players' fault.
Get the hell out of there. Move up.
Yeah, I do not like Hampton. I'll do my top 3 running backs. We got Jeanty, Henderson, and I love Judkins. I do not like Hampton.
Mine are Jeanty, Henderson, Scatabo.
Scatabo is definitely a stud too, of course. He's a different breed. And yeah.
Different, and everybody forgets about him.
Yeah.
Texas did.
Huh?
Texas didn't forget.
Well, I think we have caught up to speed on everything. I can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your evening to sit down and talk some shop, man. I've enjoyed it. And I'll let you know this, Aydan. I've always been honest with you and upfront. Well, maybe most of the time. You got a knacking for football, kid. You should be in doing this podcasting a little bit more often. So the next time I send you an invite, I'd love to have you on to talk some shop in the near future, if you're not opposed.
As long as I'm not busy, I'll join. I don't care.
I mean, what was your thoughts on being a part of it tonight? What are your thoughts? You like it? Cool.
It was cool. It'd be a little better once we got a team to talk about.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing here.
Well,
It'll be exciting.
We'll figure it out. Hey, ladies and
Get a
gentlemen.
recap episode going.
Yeah. We'll do a breakdown next week. I promise. I'm already in the works on that. I can't thank you enough for joining us these past 2 hours, cutting it up and talking shop. Big shout out to Brandon, Antony, and my guy, Marcus Gray. Make sure you find him and follow him on Twitter and Instagram. And obviously, I would be remiss. There's like the 5th time I've used that word. Shout out to Pops. Shout out to my brother, Aydan. Thank you guys for making it and being on this podcast, Talking Shop. You've been listening to the Strive Sports Podcast. We'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen. We're out of here. Enjoy the draft tomorrow.
Peace.